So I am here with Damon. This is the big cheese, or the head honcho here. This is the magic behind the whole Big Shave West #2. I was unfortunately could not make it last year, but this was and has been an amazing event, and I want to thank you, Damon, for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, getting a couple minutes of your time. Can you share with me and the audience kind of how this whole dream, if you will, came to be? How did this...
The dream of the store.
Of the store and everything, yeah.
Actually 25, 30 years ago, I used to find myself in London every 4 or 5 years due to the nature of our business. And I used to always look forward to those trips because I was able to hang out in the gentleman's shops there. And it's something that we didn't have here. So I adopted the traditional wet shaving a long time ago, and I used to try to buy enough product to last me 3 or 4 years, but I could never do it. The nature of our other business was importing, so I used to call Taylor of Old Bond and Trumper, and they'd send me product, Royal Post, take a credit card over the phone and do it. And I always had in the back of my mind, if I had the chance to try something here, I'd love to do it, because the men here, the men this side of the pond, had no idea and had lost the concept of what the Western Europeans never lost. The men. The women never lost it here, but the men did. The women had it all figured out. And so a few years ago I had the chance, and I decided to go ahead and open Old Town Shaving, and it's been a tremendous success. And just like your experience, most people that discover us are so relieved to finally be able to visit a brick and mortar store where they can, it's the tactile sense of being able to smell and feel and experience the product before you buy it. And that's software.
Tangible, not like on the internet.
Yes.
And
no.
Yeah.
It's not based on reviews you read and so on and so forth. I used to buy things on the internet just like everybody did before the store, and for every 5 or 6 products I bought, chances were hopefully I even liked 1 or 2 of them. So it's hard for us to compete with the internets because their overhead is nothing compared to ours, and our prices may be just slightly above theirs, but in the long run it's so much cheaper being able to buy what you know you like in advance than to have to take the risk of reviews and that type of thing.
And it's really neat because it brings in a community of people, right? You had mentioned maybe there's you also have a meetup in the fall that people can...
We do.
Yeah.
So the upshot to this whole thing was the dawning of the awareness of the power that this passion invokes in people when they finally adopt traditional wet shaving. They are so enthused with it because they're finally getting a close shave.
Yeah.
It's something that they had probably always wanted, never knew was attainable, and with their first or second shave with a double edge or a safety razor, it's a revelation to them, and it becomes a passion.
Do you remember, on a personal level, what was your first razor? Do you have it still, or can you go back?
My first razor, probably not. It was a razor I bought at Taylor of Old Bond.
Oh, okay.
I had my first brush for probably the first 20 years that I shaved with it. And I didn't even need to switch that, but in opening the store I wanted to try all the other brands so I could personally endorse or suggest brushes and so on and so forth. But it was a double-edged razor that they sold.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What do you like using now? What do you think? What's your normal repertoire in the morning when you're doing?
It's kind of funny. You would think that owning and being able to have almost any product available in your den or in your bathroom, rather, that's exactly what I'd have. But what's happened is I traditionally, even though I have my choice of all these products, reach for only 1 or 2 of them ever. And so an unintended consequence of all this is I've become somewhat of a minimalist, not intentionally. So my favorite products, coincidentally enough, are on the higher end price-wise. Not all of them, but Italian soaps and creams, to me, rise above anything. Parasso, which is on the not low end price-wise, but is very 80% of the people in Italy shave with Parasso, and it's an excellent soap or cream. Mine are on the kind of the higher end, and it's Antica Barbiera Cola. It's from the oldest barber in Italy, if not Europe. And the second one is Expec, which is a very obscure brand.
Wow.
But
Which you carry here in the store.
Yeah,
definitely. Okay.
The third one is kind of new on the scene, is Mondial, and it's from Florence, and it's mid-priced, and it's along the same lines as the top two that I mentioned.
That's neat. So you kind of interchange, maybe depending on on how you feel that morning between
Sometimes
those three.
it has to do with the kind of shave I want. If I skip a day, I go right to the Antica Barbiera Cola. It's the slickest soap I've ever shaved with. It doesn't create a huge base, which a lot of shavers are after for some reason. But if you notice, people that shave with straight razors are looking for a flatter base, because the big thick base just gets in their way. And it does with safety razors as well. You just don't realize it. If you overcome all that with slickness, you get a very very close shave without the bother. You know?
Do you have any advice or any comments you want to make to the viewers or the customers that come into Old Town Shaving Company? Anything you want to?
Everyone's different.
Like, how would you advise someone to pick their shave soap or the razor? Or, what's your advice for them?
One common line of advice that I give is, when you start out to try it, start with just a not expensive razor. It could be a Merkur 23, which are around $50, something like that. Try a few soaps and so on and so forth. And if you decide you like it, begin to think about buying the absolute top end in a razor, and I'll tell you why. I have so many people that come and they'll go from a Merkur 23 to a 34C to this and that. By the time they finally hit an all stainless steel razor, they stop, because it's basically what they're looking for. So they can kind of skip all that middle stuff and go right to the top. That's one piece of advice that I can offer. I understand if economics don't play that way. The other thing is that they tend to buy a lot of variations of soaps and creams, always looking for a better shave. They need to give their technique some time to work its way out before they look for better equipment. It's like a golfer. Okay, a more expensive club's not going to give you a better swing. So.
Or maybe like wine as well, right? I mean, buy something you enjoy.
Exactly.
And you're gonna, like you said, in the long run, if you buy a bunch of soaps that you don't even enjoy, because you heard somebody
with
online.
Wine, you want your palate to develop, so that you at least recognize if you're spending a lot of money for it. That's exactly right.
Okay, great. So yeah, thank you so much, Damon, for your time. And it's a wonderful store in Old Town Pasadena, right?
Yeah.
And
Raymond and Green in an 1890 building.
1890 building, yes. So it is vintage.
It is.